Commercial's driver's license. CDL Class A, test your knowledge. What is the most important reason for doing a vehicle inspection? Safety is the most important reason you inspect your vehicle. Safety for yourself and for other road users. What things should you check during a trip? For safety, you should watch gauges for signs of trouble. Use your senses to check for problems. Look, listen, smell, feel. Check critical items when you stop. Tires, wheels, and rims, brakes, lights, and reflectors. Name some key steering system parts. Steering rod, steering wheel, steering shaft, hydraulic fluid reservoir, gearbox, pitman arm, drag link, steering knuckle, spindle, steering arm, power steering cylinder. Name some suspension system defects. Missing or broken leaves in any leaf spring. If 1/4 or more are missing, it will put the vehicle out of service. But any defects could be dangerous. Broken leaves in multiple leaf springs or leaves that have been shifted so they might hit a tire or other parts. Leaking shock absorbers. Torque rod or arm U-bolts, spring hangers, or other axle positioning parts that are cracked, damaged, or missing. Air suspension system that are damaged and or leaking. Any loose, cracked, broken, or missing frame members. What 3 kinds of emergency equipment must you have? Fire extinguisher, spare electrical fuses unless equipped with circuit breakers, warning devices for parked vehicles, for example, 3 reflective warning triangles or 6 fuses or 3 liquid burning flares. Optional items may include chains where weather conditions require them, tire changing equipment, list of emergency phone numbers, and an accident reporting kit. What is the minimum tread depth for front tires for other tires? Bad wear. You need at least 4 32-inch tread depth in every major groove on front tires. You need 2 32-inch on other tires. No fabric should show through the thread or sidewalls. Name some things you should check on the front of your vehicle during the walk-around inspection. Front side. Drivers and passengers' door glass should be clean. Door latches or locks should work properly. Step 5 in the walk-around inspection. Front wheels. Condition of the wheels and rims, missing belt, broken studs, claps, lugs, or any signs of misalignment. Condition of tires. Properly inflated. Valve, stem, and cap okay. No serious cuts, bulges, or thread wear. Use wrench to test rust streaked lug nuts, indicating looseness. Hub oil level of no leaks. Front inspection. Condition of springs, spring hanger, shackles, U-bolts, shock absorbers, conditions. Front brakes. Condition of brake drum or disc. Brake pad has at least 1/4 inch of material. Condition of brake shoes. Condition of hoses. Condition of front axle. Condition of steering system. No loose, worn, bent, damaged, or missing parts. Must grab steering mechanism to test for looseness. Condition of windshield. Check for damage and clean if dirty. Check windshield wiper arms for proper spring tension. Check wiper blades for damage, stiff rubber, and securement. Lights and reflectors, parking, clearance, and identification lights clean, operating and properly colored, amber at front. Reflectors clean and properly colored, amber at front. Front turn signal, lights clean, operating and properly colored, amber or white on signals facing forward. What should wheel bearing seals be checked for? Damaged rims, rust around wheels nuts may mean the nuts are loose. Check tightness. After a tire has been changed, stop a short while later and recheck tightness of nuts. Missing claps, spacers, studs, or lugs means danger. Mismatched belts or cracked locked rings are dangerous. Wheels or rims that have been welded, repairs are not safe. How many red reflector triangles should you carry? 3 red reflective triangles. How do you test hydraulic brakes for leaks? If the vehicle has hydraulic brakes, pump the brake pedal 3 times, then apply firm pressure to the pedal and hold for 5 seconds. The pedal should not move. If it does, there may be a leak or other problems. Get it fixed before driving. Why put the steering switch key in your pocket during the vehicle inspection? So no one moves the vehicle while you are inspecting underneath it. Why should you back towards the driver's side? So you can see better. Backing towards the right side is very dangerous because you can't see as well. If stopped on a hill, how can you start moving without rolling back? 1. For manual transmission, partly engage the clutch before you take your right foot off the brake, or put the parking brake on whenever necessary to keep you from rolling back. 2. On a tractor trailer equipped with a trailer brake hand valve, the hand valve can be applied to keep from rolling back. When backing, why is it important to use a helper? There are blind spots that you can't see. What's the most important hand signal that you and your helper should agree on? Stop. What are the 2 special conditions where you should downshift? Before entering a curve, before starting down a hill. When should you downshift automatic transmission? You can select a low range to get greater engine braking when going down grades. Some vehicles have automatic transmission. You can select a low range to get greater engine braking when going down grades. The lower ranges prevent the transmission from shifting up beyond the selected gear, unless the governor RPM is exceeded. It is very important to use this braking effect when going down grades. Retarders keep you from skidding when the road is slippery. True or false? False. Retarders help slow a vehicle, reducing the need for using your brakes. When your drive wheels have poor traction, the retarders may cause them to skid. Therefore, you should turn the retarders off whenever the road is wet, icy, or snow-covered. What are the 2 ways to know when to shift? Use the engine speed. Watch your tachometer and shift up when your engine reaches the top of the range for your engine. How far ahead does the manual say you should look? The manual indicates that you should look 12 to 15 seconds ahead, which means that is the distance you would travel in 12 to 15 seconds. At lower speeds, that's about a block. At higher speeds, it's about a quarter of a mile. What are 2 main things to look for ahead? Look for traffic, vehicles coming onto the highway, into our lanes, or turning. Watch for brake lights from slowing vehicles. Look for road condition. Look for hills and curves, anything you'll have to slow or change lanes for. Pay attention to traffic, signals, and signs. Watch for stale green lights that may change before you get there. What's your most important way to see the sides and rear of your vehicle? Mirrors. What does communicating mean in safe driving? It means signaling your intentions. Where should you place reflectors when stopped on a divided highway? All to the rear at 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet towards the approaching traffic. What 3 things add up to total stopping distance? The total minimum distance your vehicle has traveled in idle conditions, with everything considered, including perception distance, reaction distance, braking distance. If you go twice as fast, will your stopping distance increase by 2 or 4 times? The faster you drive, the greater the impact or striking power of your vehicle. When you double your speed from 20 to 40 miles per hour, the impact is 4 times greater. Empty trucks have the best braking. True or false? False. Empty trucks require greater stopping distance because an empty vehicle has less traction. It can bounce and lock up its wheels, giving much poorer braking. What is hydroplaning? Which is comparable to your tires water skiing, happens when the tires lose their contact with the road and have little or no traction. You can regain control by releasing the accelerator and pushing in the clutch. What is black ice? Thin layer that is clear enough that you can see the road underneath it. It makes the road look wet. Any time the temperature is below freezing and the road looks wet, watch out for black ice. How do you find out how many seconds of following distance space you have? Wait until the vehicle ahead passes and count off the seconds like this: 1,1001, 1,1002, and so on, until you reach the same spot. Keep at least 4 seconds for 40-foot truck, and 5 seconds if you are going over 40 miles per hour. If you are driving a 30-foot vehicle at 55 miles per hour, how many seconds of following distance should you allow? Allow at least 4 seconds. You should decrease your following distance if somebody is following you too closely. True or false? False. Increase your following distance. Opening up room in front of you will help you to avoid having to make sudden speed or directional changes. It also makes it easier for the tailgater to get around you. If you are swinging wide to the left before turning right, another driver may try to pass you on the right. True or false? True. What is a hazard? Is any road conditions or other road user that is a possible danger. Why make emergency plans when you see a hazard? Being prepared will reduce the danger. Look for hazards in order to have time to plan a way out of any emergency. When you see a hazard, think about the emergencies that could develop and figure out what you would do. Always be prepared to take action based on your plans. What are some tips to follow so you won't become a distracted driver? Turn off all communication devices. Do not text or read messages while driving. Familiarize yourself with your vehicle's features, equipment, and before you get behind the wheel. Adjust all vehicle controls and mirrors to your preference prior to driving. Pre-program radio stations and preload your favorite CDs. Clear any unnecessary objects and secure cargo, etc. How do you use in-vehicle communication equipment cautiously? Assessing all potential in-vehicle distractions before driving. Develop a preventable plan to reduce or eliminate possible distractions. Expecting distractions to occur and discussing possible scenarios before getting behind the wheel. How do you recognize a distracted driver? Vehicles that may drift over to the lane divider lines or within their own lanes, cars traveling at inconsistent speeds, driver preoccupied with maps, foods, and cigarettes, cell phones, or other objects, drivers who appear too involved in conversations with their passengers. What is the difference between aggressive drivers and road rage? Aggressive drivers is the act of operating a vehicle in a selfish, bold, or pushy manner without regards for the rights or safety of others. Road rage is operating a motor vehicle with the intentions of doing harm to others or physically assaulting a driver or other vehicles. What should you do when confronted with an aggressive driver? Get out of the way. Don't challenge them by speeding up. Avoid eye contact, ignore gestures, and refuse to react to him. Report aggressive drivers to the authorities. What are some things you can do to reduce your stress before and while you drive? Listen to easy listening music. Give the drive your full attention. Be realistic about your travel times. If you're going to be later than you expected, deal with it. Give other drivers the benefit of the doubt. Slow down and keep your following distance reasonable. Don't drive too slowly in the left lane of traffic. Avoid gestures. Be a cautious and considerate driver. You should use low beams whenever you can. True or false? False. Using high beams when you can. Some drivers make the mistake of always using low beams. This seriously cuts down on their ability to see ahead. Use high beams when it is safe and legal to do so. Use when you are not within 500 feet of any approaching vehicles. What should you do before you drive if you are drowsy? Get some sleep. Even a nap can save your life or the lives of others. What effects can wet brakes cause? How can you avoid these problems? When driving in heavy rain or deep standing water, your brakes will get wet. Waters in the brakes can cause the brakes to be weak, to apply unevenly, or to grab. This can cause lack of braking power, wheel lockups, pulling to one side or the other, and jackknife if you pull a trailer. Slow down and place transmission in a low gear. Gently put on the brakes. This presses linings against brake drums or discs and keeps mud, silt, sand, and water from getting in. Increase engine RPMs and cross the water while keeping light pressure on the brakes. When out of the water, maintain light pressure on the brakes for a short distance to heat them up and dry them out. Make a test stop when safe to do so. Check behind to make sure no one is following, then apply the brakes to be sure they work well. If not, dry them out further as described above. You should let air out of hot tires so the pressure goes back to normal. True or false? False. Air pressure increases with temperature. Do not let air out of, or the pressure will be too low when the tires cool off. If tires is too hot to touch, remain stopped until the tires cools off. Otherwise, the tires may blow out or catch fire. You can safely remove the radiator cap as long as the engine isn't overheated. True or false? False. Never remove the radiator cap or any part of the pressurized system until the system has cooled. Steam and boiling water can spray under pressure and cause severe burns. If you can touch the radiator cap with your bare hands, it is probably cool enough to open. What factors determine your selection of a safe speed when going down a long, steep downgrade? Your most important consideration is to select a speed that is not too fast for the total weight of the vehicle and cargo, the length of the grade, the steepness of the grade, the road condition, and the weather. Why should you be in the proper gear before starting down a hill? You want to be in a proper gear before going down a hill because if you try to shift gears when you are driving on the downgrade, you might get locked out of engaging any gears and will lose all engine braking capabilities. Describe the proper braking techniques when going down a long, steep downgrade. The use of brakes on a long or steep downgrade is only a supplement to the braking effects of the engine. Once the vehicle is in the proper low gear, the following are the braking techniques. Apply the brakes just hard enough to feel a definite slowdown. When your speed has been reduced to approximately 5 miles per hour below your safe speed, release the brakes. This brake application should last for about 3 seconds. When your speed reaches 40 miles per hour, you would not apply the brakes until your speed reaches 40 miles per hour. You now apply the brakes hard enough to gradually reduce your speed to 35 miles per hour, and then release the brakes. Repeat this as often as necessary until you have reached the end of the downgrade. What type of vehicles can get stuck on a railroad highway crossing? Be aware, these trailers can get stuck on raised crossings, low slung units, low buoys, car carriers, moving vans, possum bellies, livestock trailers, single axle tractor pulling a long trailer with its landing gear set to accommodate a 10-axle tractor. How long does it take for a typical tractor-trailer unit to clear a double-track track? It takes a typical tractor-trailer unit at least 14 seconds to clear a single track and more than 15 seconds to clear a double track. Stopping is not always the safest thing to do in an emergency. True or false? True. Stopping is not always the safest thing to do in an emergency. When you don't have enough room to stop, you may have to steer away from what's ahead. Remember, you can almost always turn to miss an object more quickly than you can stop. What are some advantages of going right instead of left around an object? If an oncoming driver has drifted into your lane, a move to the right is best. If the driver realizes what has happened, the natural response will be to return to his own lane. If the shoulder is clear, going right may be best. No one is likely to be driving on the shoulder, but someone may be passing you on the left. You will know if you have had using your mirrors. If you are blocked on both sides, a move to the right may be best. At least you won't force anyone into an opposing traffic lane and a possible head-on collision. What is an escape ramp? Escape ramps have been built on many steep downgrades. Escape ramps are made to stop runaway vehicles safely without injuring drivers and passengers. Escape ramps use a long bed of loose, soft material to slow a runaway vehicle, sometimes in combination with an upgrade. If a tire blows out, you should put the brakes on hard to stop quickly. True or false? False. Stay off the brakes. It's natural to want to brake in an emergency. However, braking when a tire has failed could cause loss of control, unless you're about to run into something. Stay off the brakes until the vehicle has slowed down. Then brake very gently, pull off the road and stop. How do you know if your vehicle has anti-lock brakes? What is the proper braking technique when tractors, trucks, and buses will have yellow ABS manufacturer lamps on the left side, either on the front or rear corner? Brake normally. What is the proper braking technique when driving a vehicle with anti-lock brakes? brake the same way, regardless of whether you have ABS on the bus, tractor, the trailer, or both. How do anti-lock brakes help you? Brake pressure is adjusted to provide maximum braking without danger of lockups. ABS works far faster than the driver can respond to potential wheel lockup. At all other times, the brake system will operate normally. What are some things to do at an accident scene to prevent another accident? Protect the area, notify authorities, care for the injured. Name 2 causes of tire fires. Underinflated tires. Tools that touch. What kind of fires is a BC extinguisher not good for? Wood, paper, and ordinary combustibles. Fires with combustible metals, B extinguishers are for use on fires involving gasoline, oil, grease, or other greasy liquids. And C extinguishers are for use on electrical equipment fires. When using your extinguisher, should you get as close as possible to the fire? No, you should stay as far away as possible. Name some causes of vehicle fires. Spilled fluid, improper use of flares, flammable cargo. Common medication for colds can make you sleepy. True or false? True. Avoid medication. Many medications can make you sleepy. Those that do have a label warning against operating vehicles or machinery. The most common medication of this type is an ordinary cold pill. If you have to drive with a cold, you are better off suffering from the cold than from the effects of the medication. Coffee and a little fresh air will help a drinker sober up. True or false? False. The liver can only process 1/3 an ounce of alcohol per hour, which is considerably less than the alcohol in a standard drink. This is a fixed rate, so only time, not black coffee or a cold shower, will sober you up. What is a hazardous material placard? Placards are the signs put on the outside of a vehicle that identifies the hazard class of the cargo. A placarded vehicle must have at least 4 identical placards. They are put on the front, rear, and both sides. Placards must be readable from all 4 directions. Why are placards used? Placards are used to warn others of hazardous material. What 4 things related to cargo are drivers responsible for? Whether or not you load and secure the cargo yourself, you are responsible for inspecting your cargo, recognizing overloads and poorly balanced weights, knowing your cargo are properly secured and does not obscure your view ahead or to the side, knowing your cargo does not restrict your access to equipment. How often must you stop while on the road to check your cargo? Recheck the cargo and securing devices as often as necessary during a trip to keep the load secure. You need to inspect again after you have driven for 3 hours or 150 miles, after every break you take during the driving. How is gross combination weight rating different from gross combination weight? Gross combination weight rating is the maximum GCW specified by the manufacturer from a specific combinations of vehicles plus its load. Gross combination weight is the total weight of a powered unit plus the trailer plus the cargo. Name two situations where legal maximum weights may not be safe. During bad weather or in mountains, it may not be safe to operate at legal maximum weight. Take this into account before driving. What can happen if you don't have enough weight on the front axle? Underloaded front axle caused by shifting weight too far to the rear can make the steering axle weight too light to steer safely. What is the minimum number of tie-downs for any flatbedded load? No matter how small the cargo, it should have at least 2 tie-downs. Cargo should have at least 1 tie-down for each 10 feet of cargo. Make sure you have enough tie-downs to meet this need. What is the minimum number of tie-downs for a 20-foot load? No matter how small the cargo, it should have at least 2 tie-downs. Name the 2 basic reasons for covering cargo on an open bed. There are 2 basic reasons for covering cargo. 1. To protect people from spilled cargo. 2. To protect the cargo from weather. What must you check before transporting a sealed load? You cannot inspect sealed loads, but you should check that you don't exceed gross weight and axle weight limits. Why must air tanks be drained? Compressed air usually has some water and some compressed oils in it, which is bad for the air brake system. For example, the water can freeze in cold weather and cause brake failure. The water and oil tends to collect in the bottom of the air tank. Be sure that you drain the air tank completely. Each air tank is equipped with a drain valve in the bottom. What is a supply pressure gauge used for? These gauges tell you how much pressure is in the air tanks. All vehicles with air brakes must have a low air pressure warning signal. True or false? True. A low air pressure warning signal is required on vehicles with air brakes. What are spring brakes? Spring brakes are powerful springs that are held back by air pressure. If the air pressure is removed, the springs put on the brakes. Front wheel brakes are good under all conditions. True or false? True. Tests have shown front wheel skids from braking are not likely even on ice. Make sure the control is in the normal position to have normal stopping power. How do you know if your vehicle is equipped with anti-lock brakes? Trailers will have yellow ABS manufacturer lights on the left side, either on the front or the rear corners. Dollies manufactured on or after March 1st, 1998 are required to have a lamp on the left side. What is a dual air brake system? A dual air brake system has 2 separate air brake systems, which use a single set of brake controls. Each system has its own air tank, hose, line, etc. One system typically operates the regular brakes on the rear axle or axles. The other system operates the regular brakes on the front axle. Both systems supplies air to the trailer. What are the slack adjusters? It is a space between the back wheels. It is an adjusting nut on the backside of the brake drum, used for adjusting the brakes. It is an adjusting nut under the cap to adjust the springs. How can you check slack adjusters? Park on level ground and choke the wheels to prevent the vehicle from moving. Release the parking brake so you can move the slack adjusters. Use glove and pull hard on each slack adjusters that you can reach. If a slack adjuster moves more than about 1 inch where the push rod attaches to it, it probably needs adjustment. How can you test the low pressure warning signal? Shut the engine off when you have enough air pressure so that the low pressure warning signal is not on. Turn the electrical power on and step on and off the brake pedal to reduce air tank pressure. The low air pressure warning signal must come on before the pressure drops to less than 60 psi in the air tank, or the tank with the lowest air pressure in dual air system. How can you check that the spring brakes come on automatically? Continue to fan off the air pressure by stepping on and off the brake pedal to reduce tank pressure. The tractor protection valve and parking brake valve should close on a tractor trailer. Combination vehicles and the parking brake valve should close on the combination and single vehicle types when the air pressure falls to the manufacturer specification of 20 to 45 psi. This will cause the spring brakes to come off. What are the maximum leakage rates? If the air pressure falls more than 3 psi in 1 minute for single vehicles, more than 4 psi for combination vehicles, the air loss rate is too much. Check for air leaks and fix before driving the vehicle. Otherwise, you can lose your brakes while driving. Why should you be in the proper gear before starting down a hill? Because you don't want to shift going down a hill. What factors can cause brakes to fade or fail? Brakes can fade or fail from excessive heat caused by using them too much and not relying on the engine's braking effect. The use of brakes on a long, steep downgrade is only a supplement to the braking effects of the engine. True or false? True. Once the vehicle is in proper low gear, the following is the proper braking technique. Apply the brakes just hard enough to feel a definite slowdown. If you are away from your vehicle only a short time, you do not need to use your parking brakes. True or false? False. Don't use the parking brakes if the brakes are very hot from just having come down a steep grade, or if the brakes are very wet in freezing temperatures. If they are used while they are very hot, they can be damaged by the heat. If they are used in freezing temperatures when the brakes are very wet, they can freeze so the vehicle cannot move. Use wheel chokes on a level surface to hold the vehicles. Let hot brakes cool before using the parking brakes. If the brakes are wet, use the brakes lightly while driving in a low gear to heat and dry them. How often should you drain air tanks? Daily if your vehicle does not have automatic air tank drains. Drain your air tanks at the end of each workday to remove moisture and oil. Otherwise, the brakes could fail. How should you brake when driving a tractor-trailer combination with ABS brakes? Brake normally. Use only the braking force necessary to stop safely and stay in control. You still have normal braking function if your ABS is not working. True or false? True. Without ABS, you still have normal braking function. Drive and brake as you always have, but get the system serviced soon. What 2 things are important to prevent rollover? Keep the cargo as close to the ground as possible and drive slowly around turns. Keep cargo low is even more important in combination vehicles than in straight trucks. Also, keep the load center on your rig. If the load is to one side so it makes a trailer lean, a rollover is more likely. Make sure the cargo is centered and spread out as much as possible. When you turn suddenly while pulling doubles, which trailer is most likely to turn over? Trucks with trailers have a dangerous crack the whip effect. When you make a quick lane change, the crack the whip effect can turn the trailer over. There are many accidents where only the trailers have turned over. Why should you not use the trailer handbrake? Do not use the trailer handbrake to straighten out the rig. This is the wrong thing to do since the brakes on the trailer wheels causes the skid in the first place. Once the trailer wheels grip the road again, the trailer will start to follow the tractor and straighten out. What is off-tracking? When a vehicle goes around a corner, the rear wheels follow a different path than the front wheels. This is called off-tracking or cheating. When you back a trailer, you should position your vehicle so you can back in a curved path to the driver's side. True or false? False. Whenever you back up with a trailer, try to position your vehicle so you can back in a straight line. If you must back on a curved path, back to the driver's side so you can see. What types of trailers can get stuck on railroad highway crossings? Low-slung units, lowboys, car carriers, moving vans, possum-bellied livestock trailers, single-axle tractors pulling a long trailer with its landing gear set to accommodate a tandem axle trailer. Why should you not use the trailer hand valve while driving? The trailer hand valve should be used only to test the trailer's brakes. Do not use it in driving because of the danger of making the trailer skid. Describe what the trailer air supply control does. The control valve allows you to open and shut the tractor protection valve. The tractor protection valve will close automatically if the pressure is low, in the range of 20 to 45 psi. When the tractor protection valve closes, it stops any air from going out of the tractor. It also lets the air out of the trailer emergency line. This causes the trailer emergency brake to come on, with possible loss of control. Describe what the service line is for. The service line, also called the control line or single line, carries air which is controlled by the foot brakes or the trailer hand brakes. Depending on how hard you press the foot brakes or the hand valve, the pressure in the line will similarly change. The service line is connected to the relay valve. The valve allows the trailer brakes to be applied more quickly than would otherwise be possible. What is the emergency air line for? The emergency air line, also called the supply line, has two purposes. First, it supplies air to the trailer air tank. Second, the emergency line controls the emergency brakes on combination vehicles. Loss of air pressure in the emergency line causes the trailer emergency brakes to come on. Why should you use chokes when parking a trailer without spring brakes? Because you don't want the trailer rolling down a hill, because if the air pressure leaks away or down, there will be no brakes, because some states require checking of trailer wheels. Where are shutoff valves? Shutoff valves, also called cutout cogs, are used in the service and supply air lines at the back of the trailer, used to tow other trailers. These valves permit closing the air lines off when another trailer is not being towed. You must check that all shutoff valves are in the open position except the ones at the back of the last trailer, which must be closed. What might happen if the trailer is too high when you try to couple? If the trailer is too low, the tractor may strike and damage the trailer's nose. If the trailer is too high, it may not couple correctly. After coupling, how much space should be between the upper and lower fifth wheel? Make sure that there is no space between the upper and lower fifth wheel. If there is space, something is wrong. Kingpin may be on top of the closed fifth wheel's jaw, and the trailer could come loose very easily. You should look into the back of the fifth wheel to see if it is locked onto the kingpin, true or false. True, go under the trailer and look into the back of the fifth wheel. Make sure the fifth wheel's jaw has closed around the shank of the kingpin. Check that the lock lever is in the lock position. To drive, you need to raise the landing gear only until it just lifts off the pavement, true or false? False. Raising the landing gear all the way up. Never drive with landing gear only part way up, as it may catch on railroad tracks or other things. How do you know if your trailer is equipped with anti-lock brakes? Trailers will have yellow ABS manufacturer lights on the left side, either on the front or the rear corners. Or look under the vehicle for ECU and wheel speed sensors, wires coming from the back of the brakes. Which shutoff valves should be open and which closed? All valves should be open except the very last trailer, which should have all valves in the closed position. The shutoff valves, when in the open position, allow air to flow out to another trailer. If you are only pulling one trailer, the shutoff valve should always be closed, or else the air will simply escape out the back of the trailer. How can you test the airflow to all the trailers? Use the tractor parking brake and or choke the wheels to hold the vehicle. Wait for air pressure to reach normal. Then push in the red trailer air supply knob. This will supply air to the emergency supply lines. Use the trailer handbrake to provide air to the service lines. Go to the rear of the rig. Open the emergency line shutoff valve at the rear of the last trailer. You should hear air escaping, showing the entire system is charged. Close the emergency line valve. Open the vice line valve to check that the service pressure goes through all the trailers. This test assumes that the trailer's handbrakes and or service brake pedal is on, and then close the valve. If you do not hear air escaping from both lines, check that the shutoff valve on the trailers and dollies are in the open position. You must have air all the way to the back of all the brakes to work. How can you test the tractor protection valve? Charge the trailer air brake system. This is built up normal air pressure and push the air supply knob in. Shut the engine off. Step on and off the brakes pedal several times to reduce the air pressure in the tank. The trailer air supply control, also called the tractor protection valve control, also pops out or go from normal to emergency position. When the air pressure falls into the pressure range specified by the manufacturer, usually within the range of 20 to 45 psi's. How can you test the trailer emergency brakes? Charge the trailer air brake system and check that the trailer rolls freely. When stopped and pulled out the trailer air supply control, also called tractor protection valve control or trailer emergency valve, or place it in the emergency position. Pull gently on the trailer with the tractor to check that the trailer emergency brakes are on. How can you test the trailer service brakes? Check for normal air pressure. Release the parking brake. Move the vehicle forward slowly and apply trailer brakes with the hand control trolley valve. If so equipped, you should feel the brakes come on. This tells you the trailer brakes are connected and working. The trailer brakes should be tested with the hand valve but controlled in normal operation with the foot pedal, which applies air to the service brakes at all wheels.